Hey, my name is Sarah and welcome back to another episode of Talking Fast. We're back on the couch. This feels like the comfiest way to head into a new season of Talking Fast. Would you not agree?
Sarah, I feel comfortable.
I feel comfortable
too.
too.
A good pillow situation
and
again.
If you are watching this episode, because I mean, for those that are listening, whether we're in the studio or sitting on my couch, I don't think it really makes that much of a difference. But if you're watching this episode, I feel like it's just like cozier vibes and you can expect a lot more from couches, our couches, maybe other people's couches, all of that in this new season. Also, do you think people, before we get started, care about seasons of a podcast?
No.
I don't think so either, but it's just for our mental, like a break.
I do get if I'm upset, I get upset if a podcast I really like has taken a break that's a little bit too long. So I'm like,
that's fair.
Let me have my routine where
Exactly.
I want to listen to you week over week. And I'm sure that that's what our listeners are feeling if there's a little break too.
For sure. So we try to keep the breaks tight, but new seasons I feel like help me just figure out new creative direction. Like as an example, like it's a new season we're starting, so we're gonna have more episodes like this where we're just like hanging out.
I don't know why it took us so long to get on a couch. It's way like you said. If you're not watching, you don't really know the difference. But I feel so much
chattier,
comfier and chattier right now.
No wonder the big comfy couch was such a successful show.
The yap is here.
The yap couch, that doesn't make sense. We'll work on it. But with that being said, let's start yapping about what are you drinking or eating this week?
Sarah, I'm excited about this one.
That's
Listen, you go around a pastry shop and you see your everyday pastries. You got donuts, you got little tarts, you got this and that. Mm-hmm. Do you mess around? And I know you're not a big pastry fan, so you probably don't. Listen, it's a Portuguese custard tart. It's the pastel de nata.
Yes.
Oh my
incredible.
God,
I don't love
those
pastries, but that's one that I'm down with. I
went to a full-on brunch the other day and like loaded up. I had a good brunch. I was full by the end of it, but across the street, there's this Portuguese bakery and I had to walk in and I didn't get one. I got two little pastel de natas and oh my God, they were so good.
During Dundas Westfest, the best, like you can get them all like on the street from like the little like grandmothers that make them in their basement.
Fresh and they got the little burnt little brulee on the top.
Oh my God, they're so good. They're so
honestly,
good.
It's the perfect balance because it's sweet, but it's not too sweet. But it's got the custardy and the shell of it.
It's somehow sweet and savory, which is why I think it's the perfect little treat.
And you know what? It was great after brunch. It would be great before brunch. I saved half of one until after a run too. I was like, fuck gels for running. I'm going to eat pastel de natas. What about you, though? What do you eat or drinking this week?
Well, it's been, like, when we're filming this, like, TIFF and a bunch of events. And I've been drinking a lot. But specifically, though, I'm becoming a Prosecco girl.
Oh, really?
I feel like in my age, I just am becoming
now, are we talking like a straight glass of Prosecco or are you talking like a spritz?
I mean, we all know I love a spritz.
Yeah.
I love a spritz. So I think that was my transition into Prosecco.
That's classy.
My friend Britt, shout out Britt, she listens to this pod. My friend Britt is like a bubbly girl. Like she's always like, bubbly's my thing. Like she went to the Champagne region in France and like for her honeymoon because she loves bubbly. And I think I was inspired by her because she'll just like order a glass of bubbly, which has never been my thing.
Move.
I know, classy move for a classy girl. So I want to be like Britt and I want to be a classy girl. So at all these events, I think it's because it's like I don't have to pay for it. So it makes me more
free Prosecco, free champagne, very good.
I'm more likely to order it. And I've been just like ordering, I'll just have a glass of Prosecco. I'll have a glass of champagne, whatever it is. And I feel classy. I sip it slower because it's bubbly.
Yeah.
And I love the glassware. The glassware that Prosecco comes in is the most beautiful glassware of anything else.
It can also, you can have a kind of a low-key outfit, but if you go somewhere and you get a glass of Prosecco, 100%. Instantly you're elevated to, whoa, that person's fancy.
It's like you look at them and go, oh my God, like they're like a next level human. They just like have like a little glass of Prosecco. They just look so
for sure. I would almost say like a glass of Prosecco is the new cigarette, you know?
I think they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, if you go cigarette, no, I'm not advocating for smoking. I don't smoke. I don't think you should smoke.
If I'm holding a cigarette with a glass of Prosecco.
Don't smoke it.
Well, it's like did you ever watch The Fault in Our Stars where he has a cigarette he just like holds in his mouth
because he's line, but I was like, ooh, that guy's got it.
A cigarette and a glass of Prosecco, you're hot. I think that's like that's how it works. Anyway, so I drink Prosecco now.
Something that you're watching or reading this week, Sarah.
Okay, so this is twofold because I read it and then I watched it. My book club read The Perfect Couple, which is by Ellen Hildebrand, and it's like a murder mystery style book. I didn't love the book because I felt like there was a lot of useless stuff, and I felt like the ending really wasn't a good payoff. But we read it because it was becoming a Netflix show, and it delivered as a Netflix show because it was a classic. Like it was like bootleg White Lotus.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it was like White Lotus, but like not as good.
Which
but,
I
like,
don't
it was
know this.
still
Did
wonderful.
they cast like well-known people, or are they kind of like
no, like Nicole Kidman is the lead.
Oh,
like,
really?
like it's like, but it's just because the script isn't amazing, but it was better as a show than as a book for me. I found the show so funny. Like it's not supposed to be funny, but it was just so funny.
Yeah.
And just the choices they made and like the way it all worked out. Anyways, I enjoyed it. I binged it in like a day. And if you're looking for like mindless TV to watch,
Can you watch it if you haven't read the book?
I
Maybe
think
better?
I think you should just watch it and not read the book. Like, don't waste your time. That book was so long unnecessarily. And it made, I literally read it being like, this would work better as a show. And it did. So, and Nicole Kidman's always amazing. She plays like this rich Nantucket woman who writes murder mysteries. And
You know what? She's kind of like typecast herself as that now after,
I
oh
know.
God, what was the thing with Shailene Woodley?
Big
and
Little
all that?
Lies?
Big Little Lies, yeah.
she's playing like the same type of character.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
what about you? What are you watching?
Okay, you know what? I tried to watch this so many times, but 2 seconds before I hit play, 15 of those times, I was busy. I don't know. I got busy for some reason. But the other day, I put on its new movie, Amazon Prime Video, Jackpot. Listen,
never heard of it.
It's a mindless movie. Who's in it? Who's in it? I believe Aquafina, John Cena. It's like you win the lottery, and then it's like kind of purgy. It's kind of purgy, where like the premise is, if someone wins the lottery, they have like 24 hours where they can be killed, and if they're killed,
then that person gets the money.
Yeah, it's a little stupid, but it's a little funny, and I don't know why, but like I've become a big John Cena fan. Both, you know what? Did you know this? Outside of his career in the like wrestling and now acting side of things, I think he is the number one person for Make-A-Wish. He's like the number one number of wishes.
I did see that.
Like a really good guy.
Anyone that makes a wish for John Cena, like he like does it. Like he goes through on it.
Yeah, a really good guy. And I don't know, I find him so funny. I don't know why. He's not everyone's cup of tea for sure, but he was funny in this movie. And listen,
Jackpot.
It's not like a critically acclaimed, gonna win a bunch of awards type of movie, but if you're, looking for something to throw on, I would recommend it. Okay. I'm in the mood to make comedies good again. And listen,
did you have some ha-has, like out loud laughter?
I had some ha-has.
As long as you had some ha-has and a couple of hee-hees, then do you know what? It's a good film.
I had a couple hee-hees too. Yeah, a couple hee-hees.
Okay, then maybe I'll check it out. What are you listening to this week?
Okay, this is what I really wanted to.
This is what you've been waiting for.
Really wanted
Jacob
to talk
just
about,
gets through all the other stuff.
Because I watched a couple things. And listen, what I've been listening to is a lot of oldies. I've been listening to the Bee Gees specifically because it appears on a couple of their songs, I believe, appears on the soundtrack to the new Beetlejuice movie, which I also saw the other day.
What'd you think?
I haven't seen the first Beetlejuice. I haven't seen the original Beetlejuice, so I have nothing to compare it to. I legitimately thought that it was one of the funniest movies I've seen in a long time. Not gonna lie. You don't like it?
No, I've never seen it. I just saw like not great reviews on it.
Oh, really? No, I think that it was funny.
And so they have the Bee Gees, and then now you've been listening to the Bee Gees.
Yeah, the soundtrack is great. I know that we talked about in the last episode, or one of the last episodes, we talked about Schitt's Creek. Mm-hmm. Catherine O'Hara is obviously in the new Beetlejuice movie, as she was the original. She is so funny.
She's the best.
I had probably, speaking of ha-has and hee-hees, I probably had in the theater 15 ha-has? Like full-on ha-has.
Out loud
ha-has in the movie theater because just of her. She's so funny.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
15 ha-has to Catherine O'Hara only.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the cast is good. Jenna Ortega. Are you a Jenna Ortega fan?
I've never really seen anything she's in, but she kind of
You've
looks
never watched
like...
Wednesday?
No.
Oh, watch it.
She kind of looks like Izzy though, no? Maybe just the black hair.
Yeah, a little bit, I guess. Jenna Ortega is great in it too. Yeah. So that's what I've been listening to. What about you?
I'm like, to the shock of no one, because she's a pop girly and I just love pop girlies, Sabrina Carpenter's new album is unbelievable.
It hits.
And we haven't talked about it yet.
It hits.
The song Taste is like it scratches like the first few notes scratches something in my brain that I don't know what it is, but it hits. She's like a little Polly Pocket. She seems cool. Like you watch interviews with her and she actually seems like someone you could like have a beer with. Like that's the energy
For
she
sure.
gives. And she just doesn't take herself too seriously. And so I don't know, it comes through in her music and I'm just really happy she's getting like a little moment right now.
Somewhere you went this week, Sarah?
I went to a couple TIFF premieres because when we're recording this, it's just been TIFF and I love TIFF in the city.
Which ones?
So I went to go see this movie called Bonjour Tetris, which means like Hello Sadness. And it is by Babe Nation Films, who are Canadian female filmmakers. And it was really good. Like it was very artsy. And it was a little bit long, but it was very artsy and beautiful. Like it was shot in the south of France and it was just like it was stunning. But it's a remake of a book that was already a movie in like I want to say the 70s, maybe 60s.
Oh, interesting.
Anyways, it was really good. And I just love seeing like Canadian filmmakers make really cool stuff. And the cast was amazing. This like young girl was in it. It was like her big debut and it was very well done.
And did you say it was a premiere? So like, were they all there?
Yeah,
Q&A
yeah.
afterward
And
type
then,
of thing?
yeah. And then we went to the after party. I just went for like one drink, then I went home. But so I got to say like hi to Katie and Lindsay, who are like Babe Nation, the
With
filmmakers.
your Prosecco in hand, probably.
Yeah, with my Prosecco in hand. And I got to congratulate them, which was really cool.
That's cool.
And then, yeah, the movie was great. And then I also went to go see Elton John's premiere of his new documentary that his like husband's one of the co-directors on it, David Furnish, who's Canadian. Yeah, it was really well done. And it was cool because they didn't use, I mean, like it's not the movie doesn't come out till December, but in a traditional documentary, you sit and talk to the camera and they like interview you. They didn't do that for this. They just used all the old tape recordings from an interview he did in the 90s to carry it. So it's like really raw and authentic the way he's describing things. I learned things in that documentary. Like I didn't know John Lennon's last performance live in front of people ever was on stage with Elton John at Madison Square Garden. Like stuff like that. I had no idea. So it was really cool. The doc is basically the 5 years back in the 70s of him leading up to his first show at Dodger Stadium and then the year leading up to his last show at Dodger Stadium.
Crazy. And so, are we seeing like concert footage as well in here?
Yeah, it's really good. And Elton John's just such an anomaly. He's so fascinating. There's like a million ways you could have gone with that. And he was there, which was cool. And he got to like do a little Q&A at the end. And he talked about how one of his favorite movies ever is Field of Dreams.
Oh, really?
Which is so random.
It is a good movie.
But it was like not what I expected from Elton John. Anyways, it was really cool getting to see him because like I think I was just very aware of the fact I'm like, this is the only time in my life I'm ever going to see Elton John in person, you know? So
yeah,
like,
true.
At least like alive. So I was like, that's pretty cool. It's the truth. So that was cool. So anyways, I just went to TIFF events. What about you?
Oh, that's busy. You know what? I went somewhere a little bit more low key, but I had a hell of a time, even though my muscles are sore. Listen, the city of Toronto sucks because they keep tearing up every bowling alley that's in the town. I'm a guy that can be pleased by some life's simple charms, and one of those simple charms is bowling. It's old Danforth Bowl. Shout out the East End.
There's bowling in the East End.
Yeah,
and my friends and I want to go bowling, so we were wondering.
It's 5-pin.
I love 5-pin. That's what I grew up on.
Their bar is 2 people behind the regular counter that is just like an old fridge that you would expect to see in your garage. They've kept the charm of everything. They have like celebrity photos that have come through there recently. There's like a photo of Troye Sivan and Alessia Cara, who shot a music video in there randomly like 12 years ago.
Whoa.
But it has kept all of the charm of like how it was maybe 50 years ago kind of thing.
That.
So I was throwing down strikes. I was throwing down gutter balls. And it was a good time. I would highly recommend Danforth Bowl, but also highly recommend bowling in general.
Yeah, I want to go. There's not enough bowling alleys downtown that aren't stupid expensive because there are a couple.
I know, and we'll not name them.
No, we won't. And what's something you did?
Okay, Sarah, I'm getting big into crosswords. Maybe it's my old age.
I thought you were saying big into CrossFit. Like that's what I was waiting for the end of that sentence to be. And like the excitement you just had.
Well,
and
you know what?
Crosswords.
Crosswords sometimes it does feel like CrossFit. Yeah, it's a workout. Ooh, on the weekend, Haley and I threw down the Washington Post crossword. Took us 2 hours to get through that thing, but we got through it. I'm trying to get some mental workouts in these days. Yeah. And you know what? Who am I? I'm talking about bowling and crosswords. It's like a 6-year-old man.
I kind of love it.
You know what? I'm loving it. And maybe it's just like it might be an era in my life that doesn't last that long.
A crossword.
But I'm feeling it right now. There's no better feeling than when you just like get a little hint and you're like, oh, it could be this. And then you put it in and then you look down and you're like, yeah, it definitely is that. Boom.
Are you a big like Wordle person, just word game person in general?
You know what? I go through the New York Times games. Yeah, I do Connections, Wordle, and the Mini.
I don't do any of those things. I didn't even really know those existed until I was at Disney with all the girls, and they're in line doing all of them. They're
big.
Getting the Connections and the Wordle. I've never done those games because I'm horrible at spelling, so they make me feel stupid.
Yeah, that's tough.
If you're someone that's not good at spelling, and I think I am now as an adult probably, but growing up I was so bad at spelling that I just like associate with that I feel stupid doing those types of games. So I've never done them.
That's fair. Haley and I do compete on the Mini, and I'm just gonna bring up the score. Haley, if you're listening or watching to this today, I completed it in 48 seconds, and Haley was 2 minutes and 5 seconds.
Wow.
So,
dang.
Caught you slipping there.
Whoa.
And Sarah, something you did this week.
I did today. I got 2 new tattoos. We're up to 6.
Huge. Okay.
Special for the can you see this, Izzy, if I'm like showing my arm?
Yeah.
I got a book. That's the first one.
We got a book.
It's a book. It's an open book.
Got the page kind of turning a little bit.
Page turning, an open book. You know, it doesn't really mean anything. Just the fact that I like books.
Yeah.
And
it's like, for anyone who can't listen, it's like fine line.
Yeah, always. I go to the same girl, Veronica.
Nice.
Shout out. I, by this point, will have made TikTok and Instagram posts about it, so you can find her. She's like true fine line. We had this whole discussion about how there's people that like claim that they do fine line work, and then it all bleeds and it doesn't actually look like it.
Which is, it can take forever to do like the smallest tattoo. But
For sure.
Yes.
Like you need someone that actually properly does fine
if
line.
you want fine line, go find someone who actually does it well.
So she did my other 2 tattoos, one behind my ear and the one on my arm. So I went back to her. And then she also had this little
we get an ankle tat over here now.
I moved on to body parts from my legs. Now I'm on my leg.
Yeah.
It's a little wine bottle, wine glass, baguette, and some flowers.
Okay, so this is the Olympics one?
This is my Olympics tattoo. Because 1, I don't get the Olympic rings, obviously, because I'm not an Olympian. 2, I didn't want to get something that like looked like Paris. Like I didn't want to get the Eiffel Tower or anything because I don't even really like that city that much. And then I was like, but I want something that's like kind of like cute and quirky, but I couldn't think of anything. And then she posted her flash tattoos for the month. And when she does a flash, like only one person gets each one. And she posted this. I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. What did I do? Every single night after the Olympics, when I was working all day and then I was like, went home and was so tired, I cracked open a bottle of wine and ate a baguette with butter by myself in my room at 1 a.m. every single night. So that's what this represents.
Which is so good because I feel like we were talking about this the other day, because that is like perfect for your Paris experience, but also it's just like good standalone art.
It's
that,
just like
if
cute.
Someone random comes up to you and be like, what does that mean? You don't have to really explain it.
I don't have to say it. I can just go, oh, it was just like, I just like the artist.
Which is the best of if you get a tattoo, is like exactly what you want.
Best of both worlds. So I love them. And now I'm at 6 and we're not even at 1 year since I got my first one.
This is when you like double by next year.
I think I'm probably going to get at least one more before my 1 year tattoo anniversary. And so I think I'll be at 7.
Dang. Wait, what is the 1 year?
No, November like 5th, 6th.
Okay, huge.
Maybe 2 more by then. Because I like getting 2 at once because it's just easier.
I like that too. Yeah. I'm thinking of getting one in New York after the marathon.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what you're going to get?
I don't know yet. It'll be something running related because I don't really have.
And maybe something will like inspire you while you're running the New York Marathon. Like you see something that makes you think of it.
You have inspired me a little bit because this is like very experiential, but also something that like stands alone as art. And I'm thinking, it hasn't come to me yet, but it'll be something similar to that like is, yeah.
I love that.
Sarah, I got no sleep last night. I swear my mattress is like a brick. It is so uncomfortable. I don't know what to do.
I feel like the one thing I realized in adulthood is actually how much time you spend sleeping and like on your mattress and how important it is to have a good one.
I spend a lot of time sleeping on it, and I spend a lot of time just laying on it as well.
So why don't you upgrade to Polysleep? Because that's what I did, and now I have incredible sleeps every single night.
Okay.
For real.
Okay. Tell me more.
So they're made in Canada. They're eco-friendly. And they're each crafted with cutting-edge technology for ultimate comfort. And as someone that sleeps on it every single night, I can attest ultimate comfort.
Truthfully, I'm sold. Where can I get one?
So to start sleeping better, all you have to do is go to polysleep.ca and select retailers to discover why thousands of Canadians, including your podcast co-host, me, right here, are sleeping way better with a Polysleep mattress. Get ready for the best sleep of your life. Just go to polysleep.ca.
Best sleep of my life?
For real. We wanted to kick off a new season with voicemail because you love it, we love it, And it feels good doing we haven't done a voicemail yet, like just chilling on the couch. And this is going to be the new formula for it. So why not kick it off with the first episode back for, this is what, season 4 now is what we're calling it?
It's called season 4, yeah.
It's called season 4. And that's great. Look at that, us pumping out seasons of shows faster than television shows.
We got some good questions.
Yeah, so thank you to everybody, as always, for submitting questions. You can join the broadcast channel on my Instagram. That's usually where I do a little call out. But then also you can email us at talkingfastshow@gmail.com or send us a question on the Talking Fast Show account. These can be everything from you being nosy and wanting some tea to life advice to everything in between. So
yeah, bring on more tea, I would say.
Jacob would love more tea.
Yeah, like if they're like Toronto influencers you want dirt on, definitely toss it in the comments.
If you want to see me get canceled, sure, that's the point.
Well, we won't go that far,
but you know.
You know, it is hard to actually ask questions. I sat there because I was going to put one in the broadcast channel today, and I sat there for 10 minutes trying to think of one.
Well, it's also difficult when you're going to be one of the ones answering some of the questions, so I feel like that's kind of counterproductive. All right, without further adaudue, let's get started with our first voicemail question of, do we have a current binge watch?
I kind of do. Which is rare for me because I've been like watching more movies than TV shows. But Haley started watching this and we started watching it together, and now we're kind of watching it separately at the same time ish. Okay. She's way further than I am because she's better at binging. However, it's Lost.
Oh, I've never watched it. That's a Tara Michelle favorite though.
Oh, it's so good. You should honestly, I don't.
But I know what happens. So it's like, does that not ruin the show?
No, I don't think so because it's like half the interpersonal relationships, which is like seeing that play out is good. They're like little romances between people and whatnot, and tensions that arise as they kind of figure out what's going on. And I have watched the series all the way through, but a long time ago. So it's a good time to like pick it back up. And I've forgotten a lot. And there's a lot that happens. So it's a good rewatch for sure. And because there's so many episodes. Yeah. It's a good, like, cool weather watch when you start spending a little bit more time inside. You will have a little bit more time to try something. I would say give it like 4 episodes. Okay. And if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. But
what platform is it on?
I think it's on Netflix.
Oh,
yeah. I think they just put it on Netflix recently.
I haven't really been binging anything. It's just a bunch of shows that I watch are returning at once. So, like, I guess the closest binge I had was that show, The Perfect Couple, that I talked about in the first segment. But as for like actual shows I'm watching,
have you ever watched Only Murders in the Building?
Yeah, I was just gonna say Only Murders is back, and that's a new season.
Yeah.
So I love that show. I've been watching Rings of Power, which is the Lord of the Rings show. I've been watching Abbott Elementary is returning. So like, all these shows I like are just returning, but I haven't really had anything to binge. Oh, but the new season of Real Housewives of Salt Lake is returning, and I'm watching it in real time now because I already binged that last year. I've been binging Summer House a little bit, so I don't know. I feel like a weird mix. I haven't been binging a lot though. I've mostly been
going out. You've been busy. You've been doing
I've been
things.
Busy. We've been booked and busy. We've been drinking Prosecco and smoking. I'm kidding. I haven't been smoking cigarettes.
You got to bring a bottle of Prosecco home and just like open it up and then sit down and binge something with that.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I should probably do that.
Could be fun. Speaking of cooler weather, what are some of your fall must-haves or go-tos? For example, we got clothing, drinks, fragrances,
okay, but this is the issue, and it happens every year when it comes fall time. I'm not a fall girl.
Yeah, do you
We've talked about this, I swear to God, every year. Yes. I'm not.
You mess around with a PSL, though.
No.
Not even one?
I don't like anything pumpkin flavored.
Not even pumpkin pie?
No, I'll eat pumpkin pie, but I don't like pumpkin flavored things. I'll eat pumpkin pie, not like
we did talk
willingly.
About this before. Pumpkin's overdone. Pumpkin's a little bit overdone.
We've had this discussion about how I don't really like fall because I'm such a summer girl that I get in denial and it makes me depressed.
What about cinnamon?
No.
Could you be a cinnamon girl?
No, because I don't like cinnamon either. So that's
nutmeg?
the issue. No, I'm not crazy about any of the fall flavored drinks or anything. Like, do I like a leather jacket? Yes. So that's my favorite part about fall. If we're like talking about go-to fall must-haves.
Oh, you just got a
leather
new one.
jacket. And I just got a sick new red pleather, not real leather jacket.
Okay.
And she's beautiful. And it's very 90s Jennifer Aniston vibes.
We love that.
And I love her. I love the jacket culture of fall. I love a denim jacket. I love a leather jacket.
True. Oh, jacket. This is jacket time.
It's jacket season. And I love a jacket. I love a jacket. That's probably my favorite part about fall.
I didn't even think about this. I'm going to a concert tonight. It's going to be the first time that it's going to be probably jacket weather.
Yeah, I wore a
outside?
jacket last night to the concert. It was amazing.
This is the best part of
So
fall.
this also says fragrance.
Do you wear fragrances? Like, do you switch up fragrances?
Oh my God, I just meant to wear. Actually, don't know what. I saw someone post the other day saying they don't really wear perfume. I go, what? I douse myself every single day.
But like, do you know what I mean? Like,
so
do you
there is a
change
candle
it?
sitting over there from Izzy. Can you turn around the candle for me that is right behind your head? Izzy is off camera right now. From Replica.
Mm-hmm.
Maison Marriott, right? Maison Marriott.
Maison Margiela.
Maison Margiela. I always thought it was Mason. Such an idiot. Whatever. So they have I think it's campfire, or what is it? Fire.
By the fireside.
By the fireside.
Yeah, you know what? I actually wear that as a
So
cologne.
I just got sent it as because it's like dual gender, like
Yeah, it's
cologne
good.
perfume.
Oh my God, we were the same thing, Sarah. What the fuck?
So that's my new fall scent. I haven't started using it
I broke it out like once or twice in the summer or in the summertime. You know what? It's a good thing. You know what? I hopped in an Uber once. This is the only time I've ever got a compliment on a scent, and I was wearing it, and then the Uber driver was just like, "You smell very good."
That's okay. So this is my thing. I love smelling good. It's my favorite compliment to get when someone tells me they smell good, which is why I'll always go out of my way to tell someone when they smell good. And like, not in a creepy way, like in like a very like, I love the perfume you're wearing, or, oh, you smell great. Like, what are you wearing? And then my favorites one. And then when they go, oh, I'm just wearing like deodorant. I go, well, then your natural scent is great.
That's good.
I love complimenting people as they smell. Anyways, so that's gonna be my fall scent. I haven't switched over yet, so we're gonna smell the same apparently.
Okay, well, no, actually, so I can't remember what it is, but I just have a rotation. There's like maybe
you do
four.
have a full rotation.
I got maybe 4 that I just like go back to. I can't remember what it's called, but I'm gonna switch to that probably.
Yeah, like the company that does the Brazilian bum cream, whatever it's called. Can I get a fact check? What's it called? Sol de Janeiro. I wear that vanilla spray in the summertime, but that doesn't feel like a fall situation. Yeah. So I'm going to smell like a campfire and wear my red leather jacket and not drink pumpkin spice lattes and make my switch from cold ice lattes to warm ice latte to warm lattes. And that's basically how I'm going to begrudgingly go into fall because I'm not crazy about it.
Do you do soups?
Sometimes I'll mess with a soup.
I'm gonna mess around with so many soups. Listen, soups in a cup, soups on.
Look,
soups everywhere.
When this is going out or shortly after, I'm in Southeast Asia, so I'm trying to extend summertime here. I'm not even trying to pretend it's fall yet.
Soup when it's humid.
So my fall is not starting until mid to late October in my brain.
If Campbell's Soup is listening, maybe sponsor me.
Just Jacob. I feel like this is a question that comes with every single voicemail.
Yeah,
to the point where we have to just do a full episode on this, where I have to sit down and actually maybe go through everything. So maybe let us know if you would want a full episode. How do you balance work, social life, family, relationships, and exercise?
Do you feel like you're doing it right now?
No.
Because I don't.
No. I think that's the thing about the word balance is it's not... it's overall balance in life. It does not mean everything is always balanced at once.
You cannot balance day to day, I would say.
Oh, God, no. And
maybe not even week to week.
No, I don't think so either. And so I think it's when people hear the word balance, they see someone balancing everything and doing it all. I think they think that means that they're doing 50% or 20% this, 20%, it's equal.
Yeah.
But that's not what balance is. Balance is just as long as you're at 100%.
100%. I agree.
So... I don't think I'm balancing well right now.
What do you have and what do you not have right now?
I think I'm good on friendships. Well, this is a weird time to be asking me this because I'm coming off of a month of the Olympics. Then I went right into the Paralympics and now I'm just coming out of that. Mm-hmm. So I've been really heavy on the work front for a very long time. Work has been number one, I was gone for so long, and then every other relationship kind of had to take a back seat to that. I wasn't great at responding to texts, all this stuff. So now I'm swinging the pendulum the other way, and I'm taking kind of a step back from work and investing in time, friendships. That's when I'm at Bud Stage 4 times this week because I'm saying yes to concerts with all my friends. And is that
a conscious decision that you're okay, let me put more time into friendships and that kind of thing? Or is it just you're starving for social stuff?
I'd say as an extrovert, I'm starving for social stuff.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of alone time by myself in Paris, which was good for me, but I needed you know, I needed like I needed my people, I needed to be with friends and stuff. So that's what the balance looks like right now. It's like currently in the middle of swinging the opposite direction. And so I never want to paint a picture to people that it's like, I'm doing it all and it's all at 100%.
It's so hard to see that on social media too. Everyone talks about this, but I feel like it's worth mentioning again that like you're seeing such a small portion of what someone is actually doing and like how they're filling their time between the gaps of like 30 seconds of Instagram story frames that you see could be so different. Like it could be caring for a loved one who's like going through a tough time. It could be for me right now, like I put up an Instagram story the other day talking about like sacrifices that I've had to make while I'm really deep in marathon training right now.
Which you have to, because that's like,
you have
like priority is.
And I've like, I'm not playing soccer right now, which is where like a big group of my friends are, and I'm not seeing them as much at all. I'm not playing soccer, which is something that like is really fun to me. I can't do other like physical activities really because I don't really want to get injured. Yeah. It also takes up just a ton of your time to go out and do runs where like you can't be going to get dinner with someone or going to a concert or something like that, or you're just so tired because your body is like physically tired.
And you have to be able to like give yourself space to still sleep or whatever. And that's where like, I mean, for me, like right now, like the run club is something that I've had to sacrifice right now because I can't eat. I don't even have the brain capacity to be able to organize it. And it's something that when I'm in a better routine.
Do you find it tough to balance that? Because like for run club, for example, we had a great time doing it when it was like consistently every week. Yeah. And then also there are like a ton of people in the inbox that are like potentially cool collaborations for Run Club as well that will be cool in the near future, hopefully. But we can't really say yes to them because there's just like no time to actually do it.
Because it's like, just right now, it didn't make any sense for me to start it up. I didn't want to start it up again for like 3 weeks and then be like, oh, JK guys, I'm leaving again. Yeah. So I think that just didn't make any sense. I'm down to do some like fall, winter running once we're back, like get back into a bit of a routine. But that's just something that I can't balance right now. And then so I don't know. I don't think there's a perfect art to it. I think I am somebody that does balance a lot on my plate. The other part of this was family. I mean, my family just moved to Nova Scotia and then I never see my sisters. So like that's a part of the balance that's like, my one sister literally works in a different American city every single week. So like I literally never see her, but that's why I'm going to a concert with her this Saturday because it's like, I never get to see her. So we're going to prioritize that. But then my other sister's busy too. And then my parents just moved like to Nova Scotia. So like that part isn't something that I actually need to balance as much right now, which is kind of nice because then it's like one less thing I have to kind of be worrying about. I check in with them, but like,
well, that kind of stuff can ebb and flow as well too, right? Like especially like I'll see my family more so, or like very more frequently when there's a lot more downtime, which oftentimes is like ends up being around the holidays or something like that, or we're prioritizing it at certain points by like planning a trip together or planning time to be like, let's spend this week together or something like that. But yeah, I don't think you can balance all of that.
I just think balance is like a fake thing. I think it's made up.
You think it's bullshit?
I just think the word is kind of bullshit because it no one's balancing everything.
That is,
I think it assumes that it's, I think it assumes that it is like, I don't think you can be balancing everything equally and putting 100% of yourself into everything all at once. And even if someone looks like they're doing it, they're not.
Yeah, it's almost like prioritization instead.
That's all it is. It's prioritization. I don't even know if balance is the right word. I think we should reframe it as prioritization and where am I prioritizing my effort week to week, month to month.
And then on the other side of that is like not feeling bad about what you have to sacrifice. Because like you can miss something, but also acknowledge that I just don't have the capacity in my schedule or like energy to actually go and do that right now.
Exactly. And what's worth your energy and what's worth like prioritizing. So I think like that's more the way we should frame it because balance is bullshit. I don't think it actually exists. And I think it's this like facade. And because balance to me makes it seem like everything's even. No, because when something's balanced, does that not mean it's equal? Yeah. It's even. I'm not.
Or adds up to 100% at least.
Yeah.
But it's
so
like.
It just doesn't feel. Yeah, I think we should just stop calling it balance maybe because I just don't think it's true. And so I don't want anyone listening to this or ever watching anything to ever think that the people you see on social media balance it all and they do it all and they have great healthy relationships with every single person in their life, and they've also are working out a million times. Like the exercise right now, out the window for me. I've not been balancing that, as we just talked about. I've been drinking a lot of Prosecco and whatever, but that's fine. It's just the reality of what situation I'm in. Once the winter comes and there's less stuff to do, I'll end up prioritizing that more. It just changes.
That's a good outlook too, because I've stressed about balance in the past, but realistically it doesn't do any good to stress about that.
Exactly.
Speaking of stressful situations, how do you manage goal setting and the fear of rejection? I feel like this is also one that we've talked about a little bit previously, talking about work rejections, maybe not getting the job that you really, really wanted, talking about manifestation. But yeah, how do you think about goals? I know you've been open about what new goals are.
Yeah, baby, lights, camera, action.
And how do you deal with, on the other side of that, because now you have this other big goal, how do you deal with potential rejection, imposter syndrome, potentially, that sort of thing?
Something switched in me this year. Not even this year. Something switched in me in the past few months. And I think the Olympics had a big thing to do with it. I was so emotionally drained post-Olympics that it's my therapist and I talked about it, how I almost had to be so emotionally drained for me to just like be raw and like real in myself. I'm not someone that's very good at like sharing my emotions or how I'm really feeling. Like I'll always say everything's fine, like whatever. And I haven't been that way recently. I've been channeling like anger and passion, which I haven't had in a really long time. And something has switched in me. I don't know if it's because I like achieved this 10-year goal, whatever. I'm looking around the room in these rooms that I'm in, and I just have this like, why not me mentality. And I also think that comes with age, and it comes with experience, and it comes with like the positions I've been in, the shows I've produced, the stuff I've made, the stuff I've done. I'm like, I have the resume to back it up, that I'm now kind of at a point where it's like, if you're going to give me a no, I'll just go find a yes somewhere else, or I'll make my own yes. And like, I understand that is a very privileged way to think. And that's not to say it will not come with rejection, but I think it's because I know rejection's coming. So I'm not scared of it. Like, I know I'm going to have to, I've already been rejected once, like for a project that I really wanted to do on the side, got really far in it, got rejected. And that was my first real rejection in like that film and entertainment space. And I was like, okay, yeah, do you know what that was? Feeling a little bit too easy. I probably needed a rejection to like humble me a bit. On to the next one. Now, like, I know a way that I can go around it. So I don't know. I'm in this like era of my life right now where I'm just like, I literally am back to like believing I can do anything, which is a really nice feeling because I did not feel like this for a long time. And I just think I think I was really afraid that being at the mountaintop of a career goal of 10 years that I was going to be like, oh my God, what do I do next? I'm so scared. But now it's actually like, I'm not putting pressure on myself for a timeline or when I need to reach that next goal, because I know the last one took 10 years. So the next one can take 10, 15, who cares? Yeah. And I'm just going to make little things every single day in my life to get to that goal. And rejection is just redirection. So like if I get rejected from one thing, then it's like, okay, just pivot, redirect to the next. I think that confidence comes with success in my career, and like, I've been doing this for a while now, so I think that's part of it. But I can understand if you're 22 and you're getting rejected constantly, like that's a different level. That's really tough.
But maybe a good takeaway from that too, which I think is a really good point, is that acknowledging that someone who is rejecting you is not like the be all and end all of your life. No. Like even if they're in a position of power that like you could potentially benefit by them giving you a yes, like you say, you are being redirected, and that's definitely not putting a hard end to any goal that you do have. You just have to find another way to get that yes. And maybe it isn't with that person, and maybe the end goal looks a little bit different because it's, you know, not working at the place that you want to work at, or working with the person that you want to work with, or, you know, what have you.
Like, I'm taking this question as more of like, yeah, in a career, because like,
I know, I was just going to pivot to relationships or something.
Relationships is like something that we can't even, like, that's a whole other can of worms to open up. And that's like,
why I paused. I was like, I don't know if I'm
no, I feel like that's another story for another day, when we could do a whole relationship advice podcast if we wanted to. I just think when it comes to rejection, especially in your 20s, like that's the time you're going to feel the most rejection in your life. And truly, I think it's just setting you up for like then what's going to be the successes later. Also, like, that's the time to get rejected. Like, I don't have kids or a mortgage or anything that if someone says no to me, it's not like I'm stressing that I have to put food on the table for other people.
There was a really good clip going around recently, and I think it's from Ira Glass, and he was talking about the frustrating period, especially early on in your career, can apply to anyone, but mostly creative individuals, when you know that you have good taste and you can kind of see what you want to make, but you have to go through a lot of fuck ups and like producing really bad work, getting no's because of that bad work before you can kind of not necessarily earn, but a little bit earn the right to kind of get to where you want to be.
That's so true.
Yeah. And like, that is so frustrating because I know that like rejection, getting a no is frustrating, but also like framing that in your own mind by maybe humbling yourself a little bit. And you alluded to this a little bit too, is like, if you're not ready to be at that kind of where you want to be goal wise, maybe it's because you just haven't learned quite enough or like done enough work, which is all part of the process.
100%.
Like when it comes to goal setting, set those lofty goals and like have these dreams that you're shooting toward, but understand, like you mentioned, it's not overnight. It might take a decade, it might take longer. But if you chip away, you'll probably learn so much along the way that they have to be those building blocks towards your dreams. So
100%. If I think of if I had gotten to go on location for an Olympics 2 games ago, even the stuff I would be producing, one, I don't think I would have been prepared for, and two, the stuff I would be producing would not nearly be to the quality that I was able to do.
And it wouldn't mean as much when you get there, you know?
Exactly. Cause it feels too easy, then it doesn't feel as worth
like
it.
what, you're going to get a tattoo that says like, oh my God, that was easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Great memory.
Okay. This is an interesting question. Any advice on how to balance? We don't like
more
that
balance.
word. More balance. A long distance relationship. Have you ever been in an LDR? Have you ever been in one?
I suppose my last relationship, she lived temporarily had a contract in a different province that was quite far away for a couple of months. So does that count?
I think for a period, that counts. Was it tough?
Yeah, it was very tough.
Was that part of the demise of that relationship?
Honestly, probably led to the breakup in some ways. No. Yeah.
Okay, so this is another one of those questions when people ask, I'm like, okay, I want context. Like, how long is the distance?
Well, okay,
it didn't
lead to it. Yes, context is very important, and I should say that it didn't lead to it. It wasn't the cause of it, but the long distance relationships, I'll say this, can definitely give you. It can put a magnifying glass on your communication style and how important that is.
For sure.
It can put a magnifying glass on like what you really care about in a relationship as well.
That's so interesting.
Have you?
This is the thing. The word relationship is a little heavy to be using. But when I was a late teens into university, there was a boy. There's always a boy. There was a boy that him and I met and had like a little summer fling romance, whatever.
Where was he from?
Another country.
Oh,
like
shit.
far away. Like we're talking like Oceania people.
Oh,
like,
damn.
Far. Like
Ocean people?
Oceania.
Oh, like Australia. Okay.
That general vicinity. Australia.
Yeah.
Some of the other little countries that might be around there.
Yeah.
And right after, like, we saw each other, whatever, for the last time, I think it was 17. And we literally Skyped. This is how you know I'm old.
Oh.
Every day. For 6 to 7 hours a day. And we would flip-flop who would stay up at night, like who would like
the time zone difference.
Yeah, because it was a 14-hour time difference. Literal Skype for 6 hours a night. And when I tell you, Jacob, like I at 17 years old was like, I'm obviously moving across the globe.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just so funny because it's like, that's why I want to know the context of who's asking this. Because like, look, it can happen.
That's a good point though, because it does change. Like, you can have like rose-colored glasses on for a long distance relationship, and you have totally change your life plans because of it.
Exactly. Look, when I was 18, could I have like realistically blown up my life and 100%? I didn't really have a life yet. I could have like gone and like moved and done all this for a boy, like whatever. It ended up fizzling out. Stayed in touch, but it ended up fizzling out, which is totally fine. But it was like at that time I literally was like, how are we going to make this work with me, logistics person? I'm going to move across the world, like whatever. He'll move across here. We'll splitsy, halfsy. And now like I think about that now as like at 28 and just like the logistics of how that would work is like so beyond like fathomable to me that I ever do you know what I mean?
I do.
Like,
I would
it's
never.
so funny to think about that's like extra long distance. That's like crazy, change your entire life. That's why I think like a couple hours, like you could do.
A couple hours you could do. Like, a couple hours you could do because you can go visit each other.
Ottawa to Toronto is doable because you can hop on a plane, but not long term.
Mine was in Newfoundland, so that's very far.
I think the difference though for long distance relationships, I think the key is you need to have, and this is if it's like a serious relationship, an agreed upon date or timeline for when you are going to be together.
I don't know. How do you mean?
I mean in the sense of
like
moving
physically together.
Physically.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think, because I think when you leave it open-ended, you leave it more the opportunity to both just be like going the distance in your separate ways, and then suddenly you're both getting more and more comfortable in your own personal areas, and then it's like, okay, well, who's going to make the switch? Whereas I think you can have success in it if you go, I'm going to live here I need to live here for my career for a bit, but 2 years, that's when we're going to do this. That's when it makes the most sense. You know what I mean? I was eavesdropping to a pilot on a plane when I was flying home from Nova Scotia, and he was talking to the guys about how he commutes from Halifax to Toronto because he's a pilot based out of Toronto, but his wife is in med school in Halifax. And so he lives with the commute. They do long distance for now with the understanding, and he was saying it's with the understanding that like once she's done med school that we're going to move to Toronto. And see, that's smart. That's
Having
how you can make some
goal.
You have to have a shared goal, I think.
Then you understand it's temporary.
Because otherwise I think you're just setting yourself up for more hurt longer, because what if you get comfortable, you have your life and your people, maybe you're in Toronto and they're in Ottawa, and then you're like, well, I don't want to lose. And it's like fun and romantic to like zip away on the weekends to see each other, but what's it going to look like on Monday to Friday, like realistically? So I feel like you have to have an end date, or else this open-ended thing. So example, like 17-year-old Sarah never had an end date. Like there was never actually going to have a time that I was ever going to move there. So it was just like, actually was like a little torturous, because like when you had feelings for somebody and they're on the other side of the world and there's no end date that you're actually going to see them again, it was horrible.
There's also something so weird about you living your life here could be anywhere, and them living their life somewhere else, and like you having those long phone calls or Zooms or whatever it's going to be, and then like the moment that call ends, and like you sinks in of how far away they are, and that 100%. They're going out and living a different life. Everyone is scary.
Needs to go watch the movie Past Lives. I watched it on a plane and cried, and that's kind of what this movie is about, with like long distance relationships and almost relationships and whatever. Yeah, I think they are possible, but I think they are very tough if you do not have a shared goal. I think that's my advice. The long way about.
That's a smart one. Okay, this one kind of goes off of a previous question, but we can dive into it a little bit more. Did you ever feel left behind in your early 20s? And if so, how did you cope?
I feel like feeling left behind is the definition of what your entire 20s is.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we have talked about this so many times, and I will say it again. We grow up in a structure where from the age of 4 years old, we know exactly where we are going to be the following year. You can look yourself 5 years down and go, okay, I'm going to be in grade 12. I'm going to be in first university, second, whatever. You can see the path. You can see the ladder. You can see everything, the steps.
The only difference is just like, oh, I might take art class next year when you get to high school.
Literally. It's like, oh, what electives am I going to take?
Yeah.
But you know where you're going to be. You know what grade you're going to be in. You know, like where, like what status you're going to be in the hierarchy of life. The second you graduate, maybe you go to school, maybe you don't, but the second that doesn't exist anymore, and that is what your 20s is, it is the weirdest time, because you now, for the first time in your life, forge your own path, and everybody's now on their own. The people that have been your age, in your grade, whatever, have always been equal with you on the same trajectory. And then when you're in your 20s, it's the first time that everybody's on different trajectories, and you literally can't take it personal. But obviously we do. We all take it personal, because we've been judged against each other for our entire school life and compared to each other. And then suddenly they're like, oh, go out in the real world, and some people are going to be super successful right away, make a lot of money and own homes and have kids, and then some people are going to like, oh, actually like struggle a little bit and like find a new identity, and then maybe they'll go back to school. Like,
but it's also the balance. It's also balance. It's also like figuring out like what you actually want, because you can start to be left or feel left behind if you do have friends. Like I had friends that got married soon after high school.
That's crazy.
Or around university days, end of university days kind of thing, which is soon after high school. I thought it was early. And then they started having kids. And, you know, they got jobs and they did the whole 9-to-5 thing. And like, that's very much never been something that was on my life plan. But when you start to veer off of just like hanging out on the weekends and that is your shared identity, and you start to go in very different directions, you question and you're like, should I be going that way too?
For sure.
And a lot of it, I think, is like not necessarily, it might feel like getting left behind, but a lot of it is just like realizing that you're on a different path than someone.
And some paths are like a straight line, some are up and down, some loop around. I just think that like you're not in the same race, so you can't be left behind.
Yeah.
Like, you're not like.
Granted, at the same time, like if you're in your early 20s and you're feeling left behind, sometimes that has to do with grief. It's like, because you will lose people along the way that are doing the parent thing right away. But
like, I understand, especially like as I'm in my late 20s, the way that people are starting to feel left behind now is like relationships. That's a really big one. And some people, but the craziest part is friends who literally a year ago were like on this podcast talking about like being single and not being in a relationship might now like be someone that gets married before I do. Not necessarily that person, but you know what I mean?
Or
like,
it goes the other way, where like they were in the most loving relationship and now they're like the most single person ever.
In long-term relationships, and then it's like, oh, now they're single. Like the reason there's no feeling left, like you have to really like look at what is this feeling of being left behind. Is it grief? Is it change? Is it just like being not totally sure and confident in your own self? That's usually where it comes from, and your own decisions, because we're all in different timelines and literally anything can change tomorrow. So there's no like, there's no feeling left behind when we're all in different marathons.
And I think that like a big learning for me was trying to figuring out that, I was the one in charge, you know, especially in school.
You're used to being told what to do.
Yeah, you're used to being graded on all of your work, and you have guidance counselors that are saying, oh, you might be good at this, or you could maybe follow this path. There are people holding your hand and kind of showing, even parents to a certain degree, are like showing you a certain way or leading you down a certain path. But then at a certain time, you got to come to the realization that you're the only one in charge of your life, and no one, maybe someone judges you for that, but like they can't. Forget those people, but also like they're not the one who has to at the end of the day live your life. So you got to make the decisions that are going to be best for you, even if they feel like they're not matching up with maybe what your friend group or your colleagues are doing at that time.
And if you do feel quote unquote behind, it's like just, it's natural. Everyone feels it at certain points. Like I even feel it occasionally. Like it's like this weird time in our lives, but you just have to like kind of look at the facts and like almost like fact check yourself and be like, we're not all doing the same thing, and I'm the only one that can. What are you behind on? Like all we do is we live our life and then we die. So like, why would you want to rush that? What is true?
That's a thought that I've had too, because you're just like, you get to a point too where you're like, oh, you have a finite number of days. Why would you spend them doing something that someone else wants you to do?
Yeah, exactly. Comparing it to something exactly.
And do you know people, oh my God, do you know people who, speaking of feeling behind, there are probably people who feel right on time and then realize, oh fuck, I don't actually want this life. I know a lot of people who have probably
it's called
kids.
Divorce in your early 30s, and it happens all the time. No, it's people like go and check the boxes because they think that's what they're supposed to do,
or like they're in a job that they don't like either, or maybe they don't even want to have kids, but they end up having kids. That's the worst one.
That's another one. Yeah, there's no feeling behind because no one knows what they're doing, and we're all just making it up as we go along.
Okay, Sarah, big one.
Speaking of changing up your life.
Yeah, this is a good question because I know that you already talked about this a little bit on TikTok, but for our audience and to give a little bit more insight into this next new big project career direction, what made you want to pivot and become a filmmaker?
Whoa, that sounds crazy. I haven't pivoted yet. I just like put that, it's so random. I just like was standing here in my living room, was like, I just need to tell everybody that I'm going to make a movie one day. And in my personal life, but I need to like tell the internet to kind of make it feel legit, which is a kind of maybe a toxic relationship with the internet, but it holds me accountable. And I think the more people that know, the better. Because also it's like, you know, everyone knew about my Olympic goal. So it was like, that was my favorite part about the Olympics, was when people were like, I remember you, because they're like, I remember you talking about this 3-4 years ago, and now you're there. It's really cool. It feels like my friend like achieved this goal, because I was so open about it, even though I never knew for sure that I was ever going to get to an Olympics on the ground. So I feel the same way about making a movie. Filmmaker sounds a little pretentious and like a film school pro, so I will not call myself that. But
what would you call yourself?
Okay, this is going to sound, I'm a producer. This is going to sound so fucking lame. Everyone's going to think it's so cheesy. But the thing that did it for me was Taylor Swift. Okay, so picture this. 2 years ago, I was lucky enough to get to go to the TIFF Taylor Swift in conversation with. And it was the hardest ticket to get. An incredibly kind follower brought me as their +1.
Huge.
And I was so grateful. And look, like a lot of people there, obviously like everyone's fans of Taylor Swift's music and everything, but the reason I was really fascinated by it is because I've always been fascinated about her like love of film and wanting to become a filmmaker as well. So I'm sitting there listening to her, and it was an hour-long conversation, and hearing her talk about filmmaking and trying to become a director, and like how she like takes learnings from music and all this stuff, was like, I sat there like doughy-eyed, just like with my hands in my hand. And I went to my friends after I left that, and they were just like, did you cry? Did you freak out? But I said, no, it didn't feel like I was listening to Taylor Swift, like the singer. It felt like I was listening to Taylor Swift, a filmmaker. And I just like got this like spark of inspiration. And I turned to like Haley, who's one of my best friends. I was like, I had this moment where I was like, I want to be here at TIFF, not as a creator. And it was that conversation that just like sparked it in my head, like the post Taylor Swift debrief. Like I was like, I don't know what it is about it. She just made it sound like approachable. Maybe it was hearing a woman talk about it. I'm not sure what it was. I understand she's Taylor Swift, a billionaire superstar, so like how relatable can it be? But just the way she spoke about filmmaking was really relatable to me, and it really inspired me to be like, why not me? And I have always loved movies. I've always loved like the art of film, but like not in like a pretentious art bro way. Like I love popular movies. I love popular cinema.
Yeah.
And I love movies like Set It Up, a rom-com on Netflix with like Zoe Deutsch and Glenn Powell, and like that type of stuff. So I just like sat there and was like, I want to make those. I want to make them. And what really, really sparked it for me was when I got really back into reading, I was like picturing, I don't know how everyone reads, but how I read is I picture like a movie in my head when I'm reading.
Yeah.
And so many of these books that I was reading, these rom-coms, I was like, would be perfect films. But the issue is the people that make the executive decisions on who makes the movies are these old white men that are the top of these studios, and they're not reading 30 rom-coms a year to look for material and source material. They don't have time to. So why can I not just take the great books that I'm reading and turn them into the movies that I see in my head? So that's where it's all been birthed out of. So that's when I really started being like, oh shit, I actually could. Because like I've never worked in that industry, so it feels unrealistic. But then I had a really great chat with one of my mentors the other day, and he was like, I'm sure people look at you going and working the Olympics and working on the Olympics as a massive project as unrealistic because it's not in their industry.
Yeah.
So like even this TIFF, I've been talking a lot more about like working on the Olympics. I'm talking to other film producers, and they're like, that's insane. Like I could never do that. And then to me, I'm like, well, you have a job that I don't think I could do, but now I think I could do it. So that's a long roundabout way of saying Taylor Swift inspired me to make movies. Not fully, but it's a factor. The first movie that I watched where I was like really like, I want to make something as impactful as this was what Greta Gerwig's 2019 version of Little Women did for me. Like that film, like I was like, I want to make something like this. And so there's been like things along the way, but I don't think I ever really felt like that switch of why not me? I want to make a movie or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 until TIFF 2 years ago was really like the one that did it.
So wanting to have that impact like you had.
Yeah, I want to have cultural impact, like not like just, and I'm not talking about like, I'm not a perfectionist. I'm not like an art house. I have these artsy dreams to produce these big things. I want to create culture and things that people will want to watch and want to talk about. I always say the reason that I believe I can do this is because I am the demographic of the type of films I want to make. So
what are those ideas? Not specifically, but like, what are you cooking up?
What am I cooking up? Well, I really, really wanted to buy the rights to a very specific book, and that fell through. It didn't happen. That's another story for another day. I was close, but just didn't work, which is totally fine. And then I got a little bitter and angry about it.
Speaking of, this is perfect for
my
speaking
first
of rejection.
That was my first rejection in that industry. So then I went, fine, I'll do it myself. And now a friend of mine and I are writing a script.
Huge.
And I think it's because I'm taking all the things we took all the things that we love about different like books we've read, rom-coms, tropes, everything we love and everything we hate. And then we just started writing down ideas. We wrote up a whole concept, and that whole concept had everything we love about it in it. So just on the side, because I'm not busy enough, I just write a script. So I just work on that in the background of my life whenever I'm inspired.
Are you nervous going into this about like you said, this is new for you. You don't necessarily know the exact steps to follow or what your path is going to look like here. Is that inspiring? Is that energizing? Does it make you nervous?
I think if I've learned one thing, it's that, and I've been meeting with a lot of people. I meet a lot of people. I was lucky enough to meet with the Babe Nation girls, and like they sat down with me and talked. And I've learned that there's not one path and no one really knows what they're doing. And so it's really easy to have a like, oh, okay, I can do this mentality, when really everyone's so different and no one really knows what they're doing. And it was the same with like sports. There's no one path to like working the Olympics or anything. And so I was really nervous because it's like I didn't know which way to go, but now I know enough people. That's the one thing the creator world has really done, is it's opened the door for me to get into those rooms that I otherwise wouldn't be in, but now I can try and be in a different capacity. I don't want to be an influencer being invited on a red carpet. I want to be the one that like made the film that is hosting the red carpet. Like I just like every TIFF that's just made it more and more clear for me. So I think also knowing that it took me 10 years to reach my last big goal, and now I'm at year 1 of starting this next goal, I'm not putting pressure on myself. Like even if I made my first film at 38, honestly, in the film world, that's still pretty young. So,
for sure it is.
Glenn Powell is finally an It Boy, and he's like 38 years old now.
Speaking of talent side of things, and if you're reading a book and picturing a movie in your head, or you're writing this kind of outline for this idea that you have and you're picturing it, do you have, let's manifest a little bit, do you have the ideal talent that you'd want to work with? And
not because he's handsome, because obviously he's handsome. He is a film producer himself and like reads a lot of scripts. So I think any actor that also is a producer, they just have like a different level of understanding. So I think working with someone like him, someone like a Florence Pugh, I would love to get Florence Pugh like showing her comedy side in like a true rom-com. Quinta Brunson, oh god, I love Abbott Elementary so much, and like I used to watch her on BuzzFeed, and so she is somebody that I would just like, at one point for one of my favorite books ever, Beach Read, people were shipping her and Daniel Radcliffe for a rom-com together.
Oh, for real?
And he on a red carpet was like, I would love to do a rom-com with Quinta Brunson. And I was like, I'll do it. Like, I'll make it. Like, give it to me. So I just like, I don't know. We can manifest a bit. I honestly, though, just want to make good things with good people. That's how I've always been, in no matter what part of my career I'm at. So now we've put out into the universe. We're, just like working away. We're like chipping, we're chiseling, we're trying to, make something. And I mean, I'm still like, I'm just still working and doing sports and all of that stuff. But this is just like
apart from the
passion project on the side.
Apart from you mentioned not getting the rights to the one book that you wanted to secure, have there been any other hurdles that you've been like, oh. I didn't know that I was going to run into something like this. It's going to take some learning.
I think time is a hurdle.
Yeah.
And not because I don't think I have enough of it, like looking out. It's just like time to be able, I would just love to be able to prioritize it more. So I think that's a hurdle. But like I told you guys earlier in this episode, I have this like blind confidence right now that I really don't know where it came from, but I'm really channeling it. And that's why I'm like trying to like really thrust it into whatever projects I'm working on and really channeling it. And I'm also not afraid to admit when I don't know what I'm doing or hire someone that does. I know a lot of great writers. I don't know how to write a script. So I'm going to write out a whole concept and try to write a script. And I'm going to pay somebody else to take it off my hands and go, can you do you think you can make this into something, or whatever that might look like? So we'll see. Maybe a year from now, this is just a movie podcast.
I do love though, like, especially around TIFF, for example, or any kind of premiere where you have access to people talking about the films that they've made, there are always so many stories of how long it took them to produce and the kind of ups and downs that film's journey took. So
well, that's what Bonjour Tetris, like Babe Nation, it took them like 6 years alone to get the rights to that story, and they were like knocking on doors and like they believed that they could do it. They literally said to them, no, we're not selling you the rights. And it took them so long, and then it took them 10 years from start to finish, like make this, and it was their dream. So like for them, like that's why I felt so privileged to be at that premiere, because I understood, because they had taught, like I saw them right before they went to go film it last year in the south of France, and Lindsay and Katie just were like so honest, and like it takes a long time, but if you're starting now and you're asking all the right questions, then like you'll be that one that's like talking about your film 10 years from now, which is like great. And maybe I'll make one film, maybe I'll make 40, who knows. But I'm starting at stage 1 of I don't know how many stages. And yeah, I feel like I just kind of like dropped that like a bomb on people though. Like I literally had like no
I was just gonna say, it's like the yearly you playing guitar and singing that people are like, wait,
it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So
a multifaceted, multi-talented
person. So it's just because I get bored. I just like doing too many different things. So we'll see. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I feel like me talking about my big pie in the sky dreams is probably a good place to end this voicemail. Yeah. But we still have a few questions we didn't get to, so we will do it at our next voicemail. We do this every single month. And as always, you can ask us questions on Instagram.
And allegedly, we have a truth or drink episode coming up that Sarah's trying to promote.
I think that'd be so fun, no? So if you want to do a truth or drink, we'll have to do like an anonymous form. It's going to have to be like juicy questions.
Yeah, juicy tea. Remember the Toronto-based influencers. Let me know.
God, Jacob. Anyways, I think a truth or drink would be high-key hilarious. And just as always, it's a new season. Let us know who you want to hear from. If you love this style of video and podcast, please just like let us know. We love feedback. We love hearing that people are actually liking the content and liking the changes that we make to the show. As always, I've been Sarah, that's been Jacob. We're here every single week. It's a brand new season of Talking Fast, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.